Hello and welcome back. In this session, we will be looking at Azure regions, what they are and how they can be useful for us. A Azure region is a multiple Azure data centers. When I say data centers, more than one. It's very important that to understand it's a multiple data centers within a region, and all these different data centers are actually within a specific distance from each other within the region. And that's mostly so Microsoft can kind of guarantee that they can and they will be able to communicate with each other over the fiber optic network as quick as possible. So they are no more than a certain amount of miles away from each other. Now here you can see that there are Microsoft regions. If you can go to this lecture, the same lecture description, you can find out here there are close to 55 different regions spread over 140 countries or different places you can see here. And this is where it was clearly mentioned government secret regions also available which are undisclosed within here. So a region is a set of multiple different data centers together, and the reason that there is a multiple data centers in a region is so an entire region can stay up even though a natural disaster or some other accidents happens. Since there's a different data centers spread out, potentially a couple of 100 miles away from each other, it gives Azure a lot more flexibility standing up to one particular accident or disaster at one certain data center. The way we can kind of take advantage of having all these regions is just to use, it's called a multi-region deployment. What that means is we can deploy our applications and systems to multiple different regions to kind of take part of that resiliency that Microsoft offers to us. If something does happen within a certain region, another region could still be fine. And if our apps or systems that are hosted in both, then the region that's still up and be able to take over the load, and our apps and systems are less likely to go down. That's the main advantage of deploying multiple regions to ensure that you have as much uptime as possible for your applications and systems. And there's actually a few different ways that we can do a multi-region deployment. The one would be the active passive, other one would be the active active. Let's talk on these two with the designing way. Let's have a look on this. The first one would be the active passive method. So in this method we're going to talk about how this design is there. For example, you can see here Contessor.com, which is a public DNS. When we try to open, it is actually routing with the help of dynamically traffic manager. It's going to back to the active region, which is in this case east one, and similarly it can also drive the traffic to west side. So let's explain on this how this multi-region failover would happen, because if you see here, this region is Azure Region West, this is Azure Region East. So let's talk on this, how this works. What some folks like to do is to have all of their applications and systems deployed into two regions, but only one as a primary region they use. And we can see that in this image to the east region, and you will see that they have an active region set as this east region, and at the top of you will also see there's a passive region which is in the west side. This active and passive kind of situation is really best for failover, meaning that if you want to have all your traffic go through east region by default, if something goes wrong, the traffic will dynamically route back to west region, but only when something really goes wrong. And what this active passive setup allows you to do with multiple region deployment is to fail over instantly without any notifications to the customers. That means they don't even knowing it happen, but they must be exist from one region only. That's that specific region. And what that gives you a lot more resilience to outages in specific regions. But this comes at higher cost as well as. So obviously when we deploy our assets in two different regions, in this case east and west, we are going to have to pay the cost for all the resources that are using in both regions. Think in other way. So these systems will definitely will have the storage. So the storage must be there in the west region as well as in the east region. So in other way, we are actually paying for east region, even though we are just using as a default. That may be a word, but think about in this situation for west region, we are paying even though we are not using. We will be only using these resources when it actually fail over. But this is a little bit cost to be paid. That means you're not quite utilizing fully, and so there's a kind of hidden cost with active passive setup, in that all of your passive applications and systems are being paid for but not really used. So this kind of active passive multi-region deployment is really best when all of your customers or users are in the same region as well. And the reason for that is because if you're going to have all your traffic going to just one active region, is the best that region be where all your users are. So they all have lowest latency in your data centers. Now when we look at into even better setup, though, when we talk about an active multi-region deployment, we can see that on the image on the right side. Now what an active arrangement is unlikely active passive, where we have an entire region deployment but not being used. Active has us deploy all of our assets to multiple different regions. We can see in this image west region and east region, but both being our resources in both regions the entire time, because the traffic is dynamically sending to both the places, though we won't be paying for anything that we are not actually using. And this will provide a couple of more benefit over just the standard resiliency to outages in specific region. In that now we can see when our applications or systems are up in multiple regions, we can use Azure products like the traffic manager to distribute the traffic and workload across regions based on whatever the closest to where our user is. Let's take an example and explain the same thing. If we have users all around the country and we know that we need to deploy at least 2 servers, we could look at a couple of different options. We could deploy 2 servers in a single region like East region, but our customers in West might have higher latencies getting into that East region data center. And also if something does happen to East data center, we may not be protected in the case of failures, and our apps and services might be down. Now another way to do that would be to deploy one server in East and one in West. So we still have 2 servers that we need to run our applications and systems, but we can spread them out across regions, and this provides a couple of different benefits. Again, our customers in West will hit West data center, and our customers in the East data center will hit East. So wherever they are close to their data centers, they are hitting into their regions, and because of that all our customers will have low latency possible. Also, if one of those regions goes down, our traffic manager can take care or can just point all the traffic to the regions that is still up, and our users won't even notice that our systems are down in any data center. And then on top of that, if that situation does happen where one of our data centers is down and all of our traffic goes to a data center that is still up or a region that's still up, we can also have the region set up to auto scale. So when it does have to quick up an extra load, we can automatically scale out our servers as needed to handle the load and scale them back in when we are done. For example, our other region is back online, and so between active passive, active deployment, my suggestion is to always try to go with active approach, as it gives you a lot more resiliency to disasters and outages that happen within specific region. But again, to summarize, that the region is a grouping of multiple data centers in Microsoft Azure. We're all connected by a very high-speed internet network, and they all are spaced out within a certain amount of distance between each Azure data center, and they can guarantee this super fast communication with all data centers combined make up an individual region. And when we buy Microsoft Azure products and services, we can choose to deploy them to one or more or many different regions. And in doing that, deploying to multiple different regions, we can gain an extra level of availability and distributing our systems globally. So I hope this is helpful in clarifying Microsoft Azure regions a little bit more for you and give you more insights on how this works for your applications and systems. Thank you for watching this. I'll see you in the next lesson.